I've been very critical of Vini before, and I've made plenty of videos calling out his performances. But if we're going to criticize him when he's playing poorly, we also have to give him credit when he's performing at a high level. That's only fair, even if some people seem to forget that.
Vinicius Jr lashes in the equaliser. Vinny Jr.'s in, and Brazil have 3.
Guimaraes again. It's above, gone, and Vinny Jr.'s there to head it home.
Vini Jr. once again coming up big, Jurgen, for Brazil. 3 man-of-the-match performances, scoring in all 3 group games for Brazil. This is what we wanted to see from someone who really has to be the X-factor for Carlo Ancelotti.
A lot of new viewers found this channel during the World Cup, so let me make it simple. When a player performs badly, we break down what went wrong and why they're struggling. When that same player starts performing well, we give them credit and explain what's changed. It's really not complicated, and right now, Vini has been delivering. I mentioned this in my Brazil video. The moment Carlo Ancelotti became Brazil's manager, I had a feeling he would unlock the best version of Vini again.
Vini Jr., this is the Vini Jr. you want to see after a very difficult 2 years at Real Madrid.
It wasn't exactly a shocking prediction because every one of Vini's best seasons at Real Madrid came with Eyebrow Man leading the team. Those two just click in a way that's hard to ignore. Carlo gives Vini the freedom to trust himself, attack defenders, and enjoy the game instead of carrying the massive weight of trying to replace Neymar. That freedom has completely changed the way he plays. For the first time in his international career, Vini truly looks like Brazil's main leader. The pressure hasn't disappeared, but instead of letting it hold him back, he's using it to push himself forward. Brazil's World Cup started with a difficult challenge against a very organized Morocco side. Morocco's aggressive pressing caused Brazil all kinds of problems from the opening whistle. Their pressure paid off in the 21st minute when Saibari finished a brilliant move after being played through by Brahim Diaz.
Looks lively, started with confidence, and again, Carlo Ancelotti getting the best out of him, certainly when you compare what he was like before Ancelotti and now with him.
Brazil struggled to control the match, but when the team needed someone to step up, Vini answered the call. Brazil never really found their best rhythm, yet thanks to his influence, they escaped with an important 1-1 draw against one of the toughest teams in the group. That point could end up being huge. The second game against Haiti in Philadelphia gave Brazil the perfect opportunity to bounce back, and they grabbed it with both hands. Carlo once again allowed Vini to drift inside, attack open spaces, and play with confidence.
This is Vini's team. This is Vini's team now, and that's what he's showing everybody. So
Well, he's the talisman now, isn't he?
He is the focal point.
Yeah, he's the guy.
Yeah.
He's the guy back in Brazil that when if it goes wrong,
Yes.
he's going to get the most.
100%.
He was involved in almost everything Brazil created. His dangerous low effort forced the opening goal in the 23rd minute. Not long after, he played a perfectly weighted pass into Matheus Cunha, who calmly doubled Brazil's advantage. Then, just before halftime, Vini got on the scoresheet himself with another quality finish. Brazil cruised to a comfortable 3-0 victory, and Vini finished the night with a goal and an assist in another top-class performance. Some people will say, well, he only played Haiti, but I don't buy that argument. You can only face the team in front of you. If he had failed to score or make an impact against Haiti, those same people would have been calling him an international fraud. So if you're going to criticize him when he struggles, it's only fair to praise him when he dominates. He saved his biggest statement for the final group match against Scotland in Miami. Just 7 minutes into the game, Vini capitalized on a defensive mistake, rounded Angus Gunn with one smooth touch, and calmly put Brazil ahead. Right before halftime, he struck again, timing his run perfectly before heading Bruno Guimaraes' cross into the net at the back post. Clinical stuff.
Vinicius Jr lashes in the equaliser.
Have an isolation like he did for his goal. It was a great goal. It was a great finish. The way that he beat defender, just taking a little touch to almost unsteady the defender as well. That's fantastic.
2 goals powered Brazil to another convincing 3-0 victory. They finished top of Group C and entered the knockout stage looking like one of the strongest teams left in the tournament. Suddenly, people who had doubted Brazil were starting to pay much closer attention. By finding the net in all 3 group stage matches, Vini also joined a legendary group in Brazilian football history. Before him, only Jairzinho in 1970, Romario in 1994, and Ronaldo Nazario and Rivaldo in 2002 had managed to score in every World Cup group game. Every previous time a Brazilian player achieved that milestone, Brazil went on to win the World Cup. That doesn't guarantee anything, of course, but it's definitely an exciting sign. Vini also jumped right into the Golden Boot conversation. Everyone was busy talking about Messi, Haaland, Mbappe, and later CR7, while Vini basically said, "Hey, I've been here too." Suddenly, his name couldn't be ignored anymore. That said, I'm not going to pretend the criticism from previous years was unfair just because he's playing brilliantly now.
Not only to have won this game so comfortably 3-0, Vini scored 2 again, and then Cunha, of course, their strikers scoring goals, which is a fantastic thing for any football team.
That wouldn't be honest. For a long time, Vini simply couldn't reproduce his Real Madrid form for Brazil. Under previous managers, he scored only 6 goals in 39 appearances. Those numbers were disappointing, and the criticism wasn't just coming from Barca supporters or Real Madrid rivals. A huge amount of it came from Brazilian fans themselves because they expected much more from one of the world's best players. People couldn't understand why there was such a massive difference between the player dominating for Real Madrid and the one wearing Brazil's famous yellow shirt. During the 2021-22 season, Vini scored 22 goals in all competitions, including the Champions League final winner against Liverpool. That season announced him as one of the very best wingers in world football. Then he somehow raised his level even higher the following year, finishing with 23 goals and 21 assists while becoming Real Madrid's biggest attacking weapon. But every time he pulled on Brazil's shirt, that fearless version of Vini seemed to disappear. The confidence, the freedom, and the sharpness just weren't there. At the 2022 World Cup in Qatar, he was part of an incredibly talented squad, yet he never truly became the team's main man. Vini scored just once at the 2022 World Cup, finding the net against South Korea in the round of 16, and he also chipped in with 2 assists. Those were solid moments, but when Brazil reached the biggest matches, he still struggled to take control. That became painfully clear in the heartbreaking quarterfinal against Croatia, where Brazil were knocked out on penalties after another frustrating night. Unfortunately, that same pattern carried into the 2024 Copa America. While Vini was dominating European football with Real Madrid, winning another La Liga and Champions League double, scoring in yet another Champions League final, and being crowned FIFA's best men's player, his performances for Brazil still weren't matching that incredible level. He barely made an impact in the opening draw against Costa Rica. Then he bounced back in style with 2 goals against Paraguay and looked much more like himself. It finally seemed like he was building momentum and getting comfortable in the Brazil shirt. But then, everything took another frustrating turn. An unnecessary yellow card against Colombia ruled him out of the quarterfinal against Uruguay through suspension. From the stands, he could only watch as Brazil crashed out on penalties despite playing against 10 men. It was another painful ending, and another tournament filled with questions about whether Vini could truly become Brazil's leading man. Heading into the 2026 World Cup, his international numbers still weren't convincing. He had scored just 9 goals in 49 appearances for Brazil, with only 3 of those coming in competitive matches. For a country that has produced icons like Pelé, Ronaldo, Romario, Ronaldinho, and Neymar, those numbers simply weren't good enough. Expectations are always sky high when you wear that famous yellow shirt. That's exactly why the 2026 World Cup felt so important. It was Vini's biggest chance to prove he could become Brazil's superstar on the international stage. But people also shouldn't ignore what happened at club level over the previous 2 seasons. Just because he was shining for Brazil now didn't erase the fact that during 2025 and parts of 2026, he performed below the incredibly high standards he had already set for himself. His form was up and down. At times, he looked like the unstoppable winger everyone feared. Then, in the next match, he would struggle to influence the game at all. There were stretches where he seemed far more comfortable without Mbappe alongside him, while other performances raised fresh questions about his consistency. Under Xabi Alonso, he found himself getting substituted early and spending more time on the bench than many expected. That created plenty of discussion around Real Madrid. Later, under Arbeloa, Vini started showing flashes of his best football again, although those performances still came in bursts rather than every single week. For example, he scored a brilliant brace against Manchester City in the Champions League. Then, not long afterward, he found it difficult to make an impact against a Spanish lower division opponent. That inconsistency became one of the biggest talking points surrounding his game. It's actually funny when you think about it. Imagine trying to explain to someone watching football for the very first time during this World Cup that two of the tournament's standout performers, Mbappe and Vini, play together at club level. On paper, that sounds almost unfair. Yet somehow, putting those two together hasn't automatically guaranteed major trophies. Football has a funny way of surprising people. But here's the biggest question of all. What happens if Vini actually leads Brazil to a World Cup title? How much would that change the way football fans remember his career? The comparison that always comes up is Neymar. For me, Neymar remains the better player overall. By the same age, Neymar had already played 75 matches for Brazil, scoring 51 goals and providing 30 assists. He carried enormous expectations and became the face of Brazilian football during his generation. At the same time, football is heavily influenced by trophies and recent success. If Vini leads Brazil to their 6th World Cup, many people will rank him above Neymar simply because winning the World Cup is the biggest achievement any Brazilian footballer can accomplish. Fair or not, that's how football debates often work. Then you add his Champions League accomplishments into the conversation. Vini has already built an incredible legacy in Europe. That gives people an easy argument that, from a career perspective, he could eventually finish ahead of Neymar if he adds the World Cup to his resume. Winning football's biggest prize would also completely reshape how people compare him with Brazilian legends like Ronaldinho, Kaká, and Rivaldo. Ronaldinho remains one of the most exciting players the sport has ever seen. He won the World Cup, the Champions League, and the Ballon d'Or. Even so, his absolute peak didn't last as long, and he never dominated the Champions League over multiple seasons the way Vini has. Then there's Kaká. He reached incredible heights with AC Milan and deservedly won the 2007 Ballon d'Or. But despite all his brilliance, he was never the main figure in a World Cup winning Brazil side, and he couldn't guide Brazil to another world title during his prime years. Rivaldo is another legend who sometimes doesn't get the recognition he deserves. He won the Ballon d'Or, starred alongside Ronaldo during Brazil's unforgettable 2002 World Cup triumph, and consistently delivered on the biggest occasions. Still, he never enjoyed the same extended run at the top of European football that Vini has already started building. Vini has already won multiple Champions League titles. He scored in both the 2022 and 2024 Champions League finals, collected several La Liga trophies, and established himself as one of the best players in world football. For a period, he was Real Madrid's biggest star before Mbappe arrived. Now, only 2 major prizes remain on the checklist: the World Cup and the Ballon d'Or. If he wins one, there's a very good chance the other won't be far behind. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you like, subscribe, and share it with other football fans. Let me know what you think by dropping your comments down below. Does winning the World Cup put Vini ahead of Neymar, or is Neymar still comfortably ahead? I'd love to hear your opinion. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.